Let's see what's up. Oh my goodness, happy fall equinox. Happy fall equinox. It's the fall equinox. That's crazy to me, honestly. I have been planning on this or working on planning on this, really sitting with it for a while. But here we are. Here we are. Here we are. And this is a change of season. I've been feeling it for the previous couple of, how do I say, weeks, days? I don't know. It just suddenly I woke up recently and I feel like we are in a different space. We're in a different arena where it's different now. It's different now. It's different now. So I want to come on. Let's do some readings. And I'm going to do these readings collectively for now until the winter solstice. We're in this hemisphere, the winter solstice. And that way we can really see, like, what are we expecting? What's going to come through? What do we need to look out for, you know? So let's see. What do we need to see? Oh goodness, that was a lot. Let's put those there. Patience, and also, oh wow, have you been working? Have you been striving for something? It's like people who have been creating, there's something about to ground for you. So this is not necessarily for people who have been in a season of rest, but for people who have been in a season where they have been like pushing forward and creating things and really like working forward, there's going to be a lot of things that start to ground. There's also going to be a lot of seeds that ground this season. And I was feeling that way earlier. A lot of seeds that ground in this upcoming season. Patience is really necessary and needed because think about what you can do with this. Like, think about the power of just one seed. Just one. It can grow into like this ginormous tree. It can be this huge thing. And so when we're working with these seeds and like reaping what we've sown, bringing the harvest in, there's going to be seeds for the next season. It's not just about seeds. It's like a change in our reason. A change in our reason. And that's a very different season. Having a change in reason is very different. Especially if you've been moving, and like there's so much astrologically that's changing. All right, so let's bring the astrology into that too. There's so much astrologically changing in the next season. Like from now until the winter solstice, we have so much rearranging and changing. Pluto's moving out of Capricorn for the final time. We have Saturn that's going to go direct in Pisces. Neptune's going to go direct in Pisces. They're leaving next year. They're going to retrograde back into it, but they're leaving. Like we have these really big planets that don't normally shift out of transits, that are shifting out of signs and moving into the next one. And also today too, on a small scale, one of the things I wanted to bring up in this reading was that Venus right now is at 29 degrees in Libra. It enters tomorrow Scorpio, which is where it's going to be for the eclipse. I'm so excited. So if you are really working with something from the past no longer works anymore. I know for me, this is like a sense of battle. Like I've had to fight through a lot of things and now that's changed for me. I'm in a different season. I'm in a different area. So having those changes, and thank you for that. I am grateful that there has been a change of season. So with a change of season though, also comes a change in reason. And sometimes we have to take the time to sit and rest and understand those things because a reason is like our purpose. Like, why are we doing something? And a lot of that will come through Sagittarius season. That's literally our season of purpose. And what does that look like? And what does that mean? But yeah, also, yes, there was an eclipse the previous week, but we have another one coming up on October 2, on October 2nd. So what else do we need to see? And we're just at the beginning. Thanks for coming and hanging out. Also, this is my first time streaming over here on YouTube. So I got to look into getting my, like a stream connector so that they go together, but you know, it is. Welcome in. What else do we need to see? Also, these are going to be posted on YouTube if anyone wants to go rewatch them afterwards. Yes. 10 of Cups reversed. It's like your perfect picture actually is arriving. Where have you been driving? Where have you been going? What have you been driving to? What's your destination? Because it's actually arriving. What's your destination? It's actually going to show up. It's actually going to, it's time for you to grow up. It's time for it to show up. That's one thing I've been feeling so like in such regard recently is like, it's time to be serious. There's not a lot of room. There's not a lot of wiggle room for like we could be funny, you know, but the comedy is born of tragedy. Haven't we been through enough? I can be funny and still be on the game and in the seriousness. It's time for that. It's time for that. That is true. What else do we need to see? Actually, you know what? Let me switch it up. Let's go to this deck. Let's see. The seriousness. What else do we need to see? The new moon on Halloween. Ooh, ancestors. Ooh, and my voice cracked too. The air is different. All right. The air is different. The air is different. I've been feeling that also. Ancestors. What about ancestral practice? Not just practice. It's like the ancestors. Living, past, here, gone. She's spooky. Hiya. Much love to you too. So good. Okay. Thanks for being here. Oh, goodness. The mothers? Oh, wow. Ancestors? The ancestors you cannot see. That came up indirectly. It was like flipped over. That came up indirectly. The ancestors you cannot see, but the mothers are around. It's like the mother spirits, mothers of love, mothers of truth. The mothers in your practice are the mothers that are around you or to nurture you. Nurture. This is a season of nurture. Sometimes we do need to harvest via nurture. It's not just about harvest, nurture. This is a season of nurture from now until the winter solstice, and even like a month or a couple weeks after that. And we're really focusing on nurturing ourselves, nurturing our bodies. We also have to remind ourselves too that we're preparing for a south node in Virgo right now, which is the body. Virgo is about our body, and that is literally like our, in my opinion, biggest inheritance from our ancestors is the body. So, and then other inheritances are true, and it depends on who you are and who you come from and what you're growing, and you reap what you're sowing and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, the body is our biggest inheritance from the ancestors. So like a nurture of self, a nurture of growth, because we're walking into next year. Oh my goodness. Next year is going to be, there's going to be so much change. There's going to be so much change. And this year has been, there's been change this year too, but next year is going to be, thank you. Next year is going to be there's going to be so much change next year, so much change. And it's going to be an indirect rearrange. The North Node is in Pisces next year. And that is just, it's indirect. It's indirect. And so there's going to be, what I see is like being picked up and being placed down somewhere new, being picked up and placed down, not necessarily in the physical, okay, but like in your practice or with people or ideas. It's like these big swift pickups, and then here, you're supposed to be here now. Okay, big swift pickup, okay, you're supposed to be here now. And I see that happening like many different times next year, like 8 or 9 different times next year. There's many different seasons next year. So this season, there's many different seasons next year. And what I hear about that is we're used to being in like 2 or 3 different seasons a year, but next year there's like 8 or 9 different seasons. That's pretty crazy. So let them come through and help you. This is a season for nurture and grounding. What are you surrounding? Let's go back to the other deck. Oh my goodness. Oh, also thank you. I made this hood. I love this outfit too. This is so good. So good, you know? Always be careful during harvest season. That's true, you know, the harvest that we have now is gonna feed you for the entire next year. Let it be clear, the entire next year. That's true. Ooh, some landing. Time for you to pick up. Pick up. What I see is someone literally like picking up, like there's like debris around. Not just debris, destruction, like what's left over after the destruction, time to pick up. Like I see people brooming and like sweeping and like cleaning. It's not just about cleaning though, because cleaning can imply clearing. This is a clearing via picking up. It's like there's things that have grounded and they need to be picked up now. Because there's some things I see that have been grounded and they're gonna need to be picked up, re-inspected. Yes, this is coming with me. Some things are gonna be grounded, picked up. I don't need this anymore. This needs to be done. And so there's a lot of like sifting through the groundings in the next couple of months, several months, especially during Scorpio season. That's literally our season of transformation, rebirth. What are we doing to be done and rebirth ourselves? So there's a lot of like picking up, what is this for us? Also, Libra season is going to have a lot of influence with Scorpio, Venus being in Scorpio for most of Libra season. And then we're going to go into Scorpio season. So like there's a lot of rebirth energy around us now, which thankfully, because did you see the previous 3 years? Did you see those years? Do you remember how hard they were? Okay, let's move on from that. Let's go into something different. All that destruction and power struggle, we're done now, thankfully. This is from that, there's like destruction that happened that we're sitting in currently, that it's not necessarily that we're sitting in the destruction, it's like the aftermath. We're sitting in the aftermath of it and having to pick up. For some people, this is gonna be really emotional. If you've ever gone through and like cleaned out an old room and there's just so much emotion that gets picked up with that. So be prepared to really like sit with Sit with the heart space, not just the heart space. It's like the memories, the nostalgias, and like remember who you were, because you're someone different now. And that's going to become very clear. There's a very big, clear picture of who you are. What have you done to become who you are? Why are you who you are? And where are you as who you are? Wow, that was a lot of questions. Maybe you do have a lot of questions. I feel recently like I've had a lot of those questions too. So that tracks. What else do we need to see? My goodness. Hello to you too. Hello to you too. A tower. This is a tower of power. This is not a tower of, this is not destruction. Normally we think of the tower card as something that is destructive or there's destruction, some sort of falling or like, but this is not that. This is a power tower. This is like you've been building. And you think about the seasons where you have built and things have wilted, or things that you have built have become forced through destruction. You've learned a lot about building in those seasons where you realize maybe the foundations were not what they needed to be, or you didn't pay attention during like the framework of the building, or there's so many different ways that like a building process can become not constructive, which seems ironic because during building you would think it would be constructive. But if you take steps 1, 2, 3, and then something happens in the third step and you realize, oh, that step, like I actually didn't mean to do that, or I didn't know, or I wasn't prepared for that decision, something, and then you have to go through 4, 5, 6. Well, then 4, 5, 6 are going to be altered because that step number 3 wasn't set up the way that it needed to be. And so there's a lot of people that I'm realizing in this space that have, it's like you're going back and like realizing all these times that you've built, all these seasons you've been through in your life where you built something and then it had to wilt. That's not this season. This season is like, I know how to make sure that this is, I see it's like concrete, armor, steel. Like the building that you're putting together now is like a impenetrable force, indestructible force. It reminds me of a fortress that, if you've seen, what is that show called? Game of Thrones? Yeah, Game of Thrones. Okay, it reminds me of that, and how they talk about Winterfell and how it could be protected by only like 500 men or something like that. I don't remember the exact number, but basically it's like a force that can't be destructed. It's a building that is like really, really safe. And that's what this is. Like whatever you're building right now, whatever it is you're putting together, it's like, nope, you figured out how the enemies can get through. You figured out your weaknesses. You figured out how to do the things that you normally wouldn't be able to do. You figured out how to hire out if you need to, which that's not applicable to everyone, but for some of you it is. You figured out how to make sure that you're protected with what you're building now, because I also see people sitting at like different levels of this tower. Also, Saturn being in Pisces would be like hierarchical structures through transition. And so during transition, we're able to raise or fall during hierarchies with Saturn in Pisces, which is the North Node going into Pisces next year. We're wrapping up right now. Like, where are we going to end up within those transitions of hierarchies? That's a really big question right now for where Pisces is in your chart. Oh my gosh, it's a really big question right now. Do you want that promotion in the Pisces area? Do you want the demotion? Do you need the destruction? But this is about reconstruction. This is about building something that's really going to last. And I mean last for a long time, because the conjunctions we have next year with Saturn and Pisces, it's not Saturn and Pisces, but Saturn and Neptune. Saturn and Neptune are going to be conjunct twice in Aries next year. So like what you're building now, and that's like the ushering in. The reason I say that that is such a big thing, also thank you for the gift, is such a big thing, is because how do I say this? Saturn is about structure, is about order. Neptune is about the spiritual practice. It's about the transitions. It's about the veil work, okay? Those being conjunct in Aries is the kids, it's the youth, it's an activation, it's starting something new. So there's like a structure of practice, a structure of like an order of spirituality that's being activated in previous years. And I don't remember the specific dates of this like conjunction happening in other years, but there's like a couple hundred years ago when this happened, okay? There was the rise of like these secret societies or new groups being formed because of that conjunction happening. So like we have this big ushering in of different spiritual structure and order next year. And if you've really been doing the work to understand in your practice, what is it that brings enemies? What is it that you need to do to protect yourself? How do you build what you really want to build without having to sacrifice anything? Then like you're good to go. You let it grow. You're good to go. You're good to go. You're good to go. That's really beautiful. Oh my goodness. That's really good for you. The next one I feel coming through is a very, very feminine force. It's a feminine force of changing course is what I hear. Feminine force, a feminine force changing course. Literally, like what I see in this vision is there's like a feminine figure walking in sort of this like very indirect path, and then they reach a signpost and they decide, okay, yes, it's time to take this turn. Like they've been walking in the middle of the woods and all of a sudden there's a road. It's going to be very different. Let's see what else we need to see about that. The Tower again. Oh my goodness. Some people need to win and some people need to begin again. Okay, so more on that structure and building. Some people need to win and some people need to begin again. Sometimes in those transitions, it's not worth hanging on. And the discernment, part of the discernment with Saturn and Saturn lessons is that we only have so much time. And if you have put time and energy and effort into something that no longer needs to be grown, you have to get it out. You have to pull yourself out of the system. It could be losing a job or leaving a job or deciding that those people are not worth your time or you don't want to make money there anymore. Also, if there's anything that you have going on within like government structures, people who are involved with like aids, like help aids, and like, how do I say that? Humanitarian aids, that's a good way to place that. Humanitarian aids, those are going to be shifting also, and there's going to be people who are transitioning in and out of those systems. So if you've been looking for a come up or looking for the assistance, there's going to be some sort of like, I see just like a swirling pool of water at the bottom of that, and it's welcoming some people in. It's like it's a cleansing water. It's a cleansing water of the structures and the systems, and it's a cleansing water that's been offered to those structures and systems. So there's going to be more ease. That's what I hear, is more ease. Like there, if you're involved with those humanitarian aid or healthcare sort of systems, there's going to be something that's revealed for you that it can no longer be concealed. Don't put up a shield. What does that mean? No longer be concealed? Something within the energy of like, because we have an election this year, okay? I don't do election predictions. Why is this coming up? It's about to be easier. However that works for you. Those systems are about to be easier, okay? The humanitarian aid systems. Interesting. I personally am not going to read too far into that because that's just what it is. But we have that going. Beautiful. What else do we need to see about this energy? I also see a lot of trees. Okay, the Fool. The Fool. Before I get to that, actually, the Fool. The Fool. Also, thank you. I love them too. I love them too. The Fool is a card. I was thinking about it earlier because in my personal readings, I've been pulling the Fool a lot recently. Like so often recently. So much. Because we're in this really big arc, like a really big story arc where everything that has been is finally going dark, but we're not quite there yet. And then there's this big light in front of us of like the next several years of just like, it's a blinding light of like, we can't see exactly where we're going, but we know we're supposed to go in that direction. And the Fool is really interesting because it represents the ending and the beginning. So like when there is a beginning, there is an end. And there's a lot of us right now who are in this ending and beginning process simultaneously. And part of the Fool too, literally the Fool, like you know nothing. I know nothing. And sometimes you have to go through the entire journey to realize that you knew nothing the entire time. Sometimes you have to go through, oh yeah, I didn't know that in this situation, and that's how that situation ended up being the way that it was. I didn't know that about this person, and that's why that situation ended up being the way that it was. So like you have to get to the end to realize that, oh, you really didn't know anything. But then you can also look at everything that you learned and be reminded again that where you're going, you know nothing. So if you're looking at the, if you're looking at your position of where you are right now and just like, we're in a change of position. There's a really big, it's not just a shift. It's like it's a turnaround. Like there's a lot of people who are doing a turnaround in a couple different ways, as in like you're turning around to look at the previous moments in your life. There's also a turnaround of like, you've turned your life around. It was not great or something you didn't want it to be, and you've turned it around. You've done the work to turn it around. I also hear turnaround, like there has to be a turnaround so that something can ground. Okay, so that's this other card. Four of Swords, no more cutting cords. Thank goodness. You know how much work that is? Thank you. No more cutting cords. What else is the Four of Swords? Four of Swords also is like fundamentals of magic, fundamentals of the air energy, fundamentals of the mind, fundamentals. I also see people's eyes, like the fundamentals of your sights. Yep. Fundamentals of sights. Something within, this is very practice oriented. This is a very spiritually oriented. A lot of the other ones that have come up so far, the reason I say that, like obviously we're in a spiritual space, you know, but the other ones that have come up so far have been like ingrained somehow within like other structures or building, or there's some sort of like the physical, but this is not that. This is something that's really, really heartfelt. Interesting, because the swords are not necessarily associated with the heart, although the heart and the mind do have to combine. That's just how that works. I also see people finally like, it's like you've learned how to wield the swords of every element. It's some sort of like foundation completion. There's something, one of the things that they've been telling me recently is graduation. Like personally, I'm about to graduate. So like it's a consecration. Also with where we are, that's something I've been talking about on the blog. And I think that's my most previous podcast too. I haven't been super up to date because there's been things in the background that have been rearranging, but there is spiritual initiation consecration, so more information on other platforms if you're interested in that. But that has to do with Neptune and Saturn also being in Pisces. And there's a lot of us who are going through the consecration of a lot of the initiations that we've been through, or just like these really spiritual experiences that we have experienced coming to finally ground. It's like you're done with them, you're graduating, you're finished. And at the same time, again, the Fool is the ending and the beginning. It's like you're starting a new chapter, so you're walking into something else. For some people, it's going to be more school. For some people, it's going to be a job. For some people, it's going to be a period of rest. Okay, so whatever it is that you're walking into on the other side of this completion, graduation, this closing, 555 on the clock right now, and it's the 22nd, so like lots of change. However, lots of change. Lots of change. And we had the glasses ground. Okay, I didn't even, it is what it is. Let the perspectives ground, because there's gonna be a lot of perspectives changing. This is also the picture I get with the Four of Swords too, is like a really happy warrior, like someone who has trained and like they no longer can be beaten. They no longer can be the one who's taking, like they know how to wield the sword now. And it sucks when you don't know how to wield the sword, because oh my goodness, you know how hard that sort of training is? Yeah, oh, it's a lot. It's a lot to go through that sort of training. So if you're someone who's been in training and you're in the process of completing that training right now, there's a new chapter coming. Things are about to feel very, very different. And it's going to start to change in this harvest season. Next year is going to be super, super different, but it's going to start to change in this harvest season. Also, I feel for people who have been through those intense trainings, the next 3-4 months are going to be like a breath of fresh air. It's going to be so easy. It's going to be so easy. It's going to be so easy. Also, I see too, these training practices, beautiful, for the sword wielders. Okay, if you're someone who has been in the training area or arena, I also see people in the stands like watching. There's sometimes these people were enemies keeping a tab on you to see if you were really skilled and if they could take you down if they needed to. I also see people out in there, like it reminds, you know what, it reminds me of, I don't remember what exact movie this is in the Harry Potter series, but the one where they're trying out for Quidditch and Ron ends up getting the position of keeper and Hermione's in the stands, and okay, that one, that's what it reminds me of. It reminds me of that sort of space, how there's like other students coming in to sit and watch this training. Some of them not students though, some of them were teachers, discernment between the two, but there's people there. In regards to right now, that was previous. Right now, since this person, however this suits for you, this person who's been wielding the swords, oh good, and you know how to do it, you know how to be in your skill, you're like, yeah, I am the warrior on the field. Who wants to win? Because it will be me again. That's how I feel about this. There's more people filing in. There's more people coming in to watch. So it's like it's not just a payoff. It's not just a payoff. That's not the words for it. Within the training, that's true. Within the training, it's something you're asking for. It's like you walked into this. Why did you walk into that training? That's a question for you if you want to answer it. Why'd you walk into that training of discernment? Why'd you walk into that training of the spirit? Why did you start training in the spirit? Why did you start training in the spirit? If you're able to answer that, I feel like I need to write that down for myself. I'll remember it. Okay. why'd you start training? Because the reason you were a nobody when you walked into that training arena. A nobody. You're always somebody. But like in terms of that training arena, nobody knew who you were. You didn't have the skills yet. But now it's different. You know who you are. You know how to wield your powers. And not a person's gonna mess with you either. And there's people who admire that. There's people who admire that in this field. For some people, this is a job. For some people, it's like being able to be in your spiritual hierarchy wherever you are. For some people, it's a job. For some people, it's with your family. For some people, it's so many different areas. It's so many different areas. If you want to check out where Pisces is in your chart, that'll give you more of an indicator of where that could be. Also, where Neptune is in your chart too. That's going to help. Why'd you start that training? That's an important question to answer if you're interested in that portion of the reading. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. That's pretty great. That's pretty great. What else do we need to know? What else do we need to know? Lots of change coming up. We got a new moon on Halloween. We got the eclipse new moon coming up on October 2nd. We also, again, have big shifts of planets. Is there anything else that we need to know about this? Is there anything else that... Let me take a drink of coffee. Oh my goodness. Some big messages, you know? Pisces Midhaven. Good. You know, it's a lot to take in. It is, honestly. It is. That was a big reading. And you know, I've been feeling today... I didn't even realize, because I've been like planning in my head, this is the day. This is the day of a change of season. I've been feeling the change of season for a while. I've been feeling it come in. And today I woke up and I was like, no, I'm going to stay in bed and read my book. Like, I'm not in a rush. It's not a big deal. Like, I'll get up and just do what I need to do later. So I did. And I got up and I made my offerings this morning. I was doing witchy things as I always do and I normally do. That's true. And, you know, was in my work, in my practice, I was brewing. It was great. And then I sat down, I was answering emails, and the minute I sat down, not the minute I sat down, but like pretty much right after I sat down. Oh, thank you. Happy weekend. Right after I sat down, I was like, oh, wait a minute. It's the fall equinox today. Of course I feel this way. Of course, because I was like cleaning the altars and like, I just do things without thinking. I just follow where my spirit needs me to go. I don't try to explain it, you know? I was cleaning the altars and I was cleaning off offerings, spaces, and like I was cleaning and like, it was strange. Okay, that makes sense. You know, that's why I'm here. That's why I'm here. I get it. The cleaning, the clearing. I also have a feeling that our spiritual lives are going to look very different by the end of the year. Because if you think about too, that's true. Let's talk about into December. Oh my gosh. We're about to wash. That's what I hear. We're about to wash. Because if you think about where Saturn is right now, Saturn being in Pisces is bringing spiritual structure and order, which I feel like I haven't stopped yapping about it since Saturn went into Pisces last year, 2023. Yeah, okay. So March 2023. I haven't stopped yapping about it. And like, am I frustrated with that? No, but it just is what it is. It requires our attention, okay? We have to spend time with Saturn to learn the lessons of it. So gladly, I'll spend time with Saturn, by goodness. So let's talk about it, because Capricorn season is going to be ruled by that Saturn. Capricorn season is going to be ruled by that Saturn, and it's going to be pretty mature. Okay, hold on. Let's look at that. It's going to be pretty mature. And mature, what do I mean by mature in a placement in astrology is like we are... Oh no, it's not going to be mature because it'll just have ended its retrograde. Oh, how weird. Oh, how weird. And that's kind of ironic too. Hold on, let me make sure I have that correct before I just start talking about it. When we enter Capricorn season, for anyone else, I am very cozy today. It feels good. For anyone else who works with the number 13, for mother work, for moon work, however you ingrain that in your practice, if that's important to you, Saturn... When we enter Capricorn season, which is ruled by Saturn, Saturn will be at 13 degrees in Pisces. That's crazy, dude. What the heck? That's crazy. And Pluto will have just moved back into Aquarius too. This will be the first Capricorn season. Think about this. Holy cow. Think about this for a minute. This will be the first Capricorn season that we will not have Pluto in Capricorn. Maybe minus, no, that's true. No, I'm pretty sure that's true. For the long term, at least. Like, this is the first Capricorn season where Pluto is like, I'm done with you. Pluto's like, I'm done with Capricorn. That's it. We're finished. I moved on to Aquarius already. This story is over. You think about how big of an ending. 16 years of a story are coming to an end this December. And right now we're in the washing period. Think about the vision that I see for that is like somebody who has been working outside in the dirt all day for 16 years in Capricorn Saturn energy. The next couple of months are going to be like, you're done working, you're coming inside, you're showering, you're cleaning yourself off, and then there's a new season. I think I might want to rest a little bit after that. My goodness, that's crazy. That's a lot. That's a lot of like, it's just a lot of energy accumulation. Capricorn's also so serious. It's such a serious, detailed, harsh sometimes. I love Capricorn. Okay, my Capricorn placements are very important in my life. So Saturn, that is what it is. And also Saturn is it's a ringer. It's a ringer for a reason, you know? It's a ringer for a reason. So we're about to go through like a really big, it's not just a change of season. It's a ringer for a reason. That is true. It's a ringer for a reason. It's like what I see too is like the wringing of a towel after it's been wet. It's like you got to get it out. Also a lot of water energy. So probably a lot of emotion stuff coming in over the next 3 months, 4 months. So like having there be this emotional cleansing. One of the things that came up, I did a reading for myself on the Pisces eclipse. One of the things that came up was the Pisces water is coming through to cleanse. Pisces water is coming through to cleanse, and having the Piscean water, because if you think, let's talk through the different astrological waters. There's Scorpio. Scorpio water is like the bottom of the ocean. It's the bottom of the well. It's the bottom of the glass. It's the bottom of the goblet. It's the bottom. You're going to the very depth of it, and then you have to resurface eventually. It has to be both, and this is why sometimes Scorpios can come off as like these cute, cuddly people when they really are able to go down into like the darkest parts of yourself. Then you have the Cancerian waters, and the Cancerian waters it's the crab, and the crab is on the sand, okay? We have the Cancerian waters kind of like holding us up, and the Piscean water is then what is in the middle. And one of the things I've been working with Pisces too is it's the rain water. It's the water cycle, because Pisces is about transition. So you have the Cancerian water holding the life, holding the ocean. Okay, it's literally the moon. And then Pisces water is, we're going to pick this up out of the ocean. We're taking it up out of the ocean. We're putting it in the sky. We're going to give it to the sky. And then eventually it's going to ground again. We're going through that transition. So these Piscean waters, if you are in a place where there's snow, rain, those sorts of storms, when that is coming through in this season, it's very connected to the Piscean energy. It has been for a while. I've just been made clear of it recently. Those Piscean, and it's 606. Look at that. Thank you, the mothers of love, truth, and free. I do love you. Those Piscean waters and the rain cycle. So these upcoming seasons are not going to be so much about, we'll need to go down to the deep depths, and we'll need to hold that oceanic moon space. But if you're working with the cleansing or the transitions, it's the picking up of the water. And honestly, if you were to personify that water for a moment, don't you think it would be terrifying to be picked up and brought into the sky that high, and then you're traveling with like this huge mass of your friends all the way across somewhere, and you get dropped off in new land? Okay, you remember earlier in the reading how I was talking about there's like 8 or 9 changes of seasons when we're used to only having like 2 or 3 a year, and next year there's a lot. That's part of it. It was like we're going through these really big pickups and place downs, and pick up and place downs. There's going to be many of them next year. So through the next 3 months, because the fall equinox reading is really kind of focused on, we've been talking about the next year, but it's really focused on like the next 3 months or so. And having those Piscean waters, it's like the cleansing waters. Like we're cleansing by rain. If those emotions get picked up, they have to come down again. If you have ideas that get picked up, they have to come down again. It's like you can't avoid that cycle either. It's the end. Also, another thing about Pisces energy is that it's the accumulation of everything that has come before it. It's the final sign in astrology. It's the final one. It's done after that. And so every single place that you've walked, every single other house, every single other, like every other placement we have to be able to process that. And then the way also that I describe the relationship between Scorpio and Pisces specifically is that Scorpio is that death and rebirth, and Pisces is really the veil in the middle. Interestingly enough, because we have a new moon coming up on Halloween, and that new moon on Halloween is going to be, it's like the wards go down. Pisces energy is kind of, it's not void on that day, but like, how do I say this? It goes away. There's no clouds in the sky. We're not picking up any water. It's like still. We're still on that day. Oh my goodness. Okay, let's pick the cards back up again. Oh my goodness. Whoa. Whoa. What else do we need to know about that? Let's talk about it. Okay. The wheel. Ooh, let it turn. Let it turn. What did you earn? What did you earn in this turn? Sometimes you're dealt a good spread. Sometimes you're dealt a good spread and you can win the game, okay? It's easy. You don't have to strategize. You don't have to think about it. You just have the cards that are gonna win. Sometimes you're dealt a losing hand and there's nothing you can do. Sometimes you're dealt a losing hand. There is, though, something you can do. You can strategize of how to make that hand not last very long. That's one thing I've learned about those losing hands. If you're dealt a losing hand, get it done as quickly as possible. Get that. You don't need to spend time there in the losing hand. There's sometimes, though, and this is usually the more common happening, we're not always dealt those like miracle blessing hands. We're not always dealt the really terrible hands, okay? Normally we're somewhere in the middle. Normally we're in the middle. And when we're in the middle, I've been thinking about this recently. Ooh, a heavy hand. Thank you. Okay, let it ground. I've been thinking about this recently because when I was a kid and we used to play cards with the family. Yep, when we used to play cards with the family, the game that we played, there was this thing called the Kazemi, which is in astrology, okay? Curious. Kazemi, for those of you who don't know, is when something's in the heart of the sun. It's something conjunct with the sun in the center of the sun. Beautiful. So what you would do in this game is that if you Kazemi'd, you went out all at the same time. You had to put all your cards down. You couldn't have anything in your hand. And it was just this big, like, that's it, I win. And you got like 150 points, whereas normally it was like 30 to 90 points average is what you would get for a winning hand. But it was like, you know, way over, way more. And the only person, I would try to do that as often as I could. Sometimes it wasn't possible, but I've been thinking about the way that I played that game, because I would either win really big or I would not. I would lose really bad. And the only person who was able to compete with me in that area was my grandpa, because he was the only other person who could figure out how to Kazemi. Nobody else at the table cared about it. So what did you earn? How are you playing the game? What did you earn with the hands that you were dealt over the previous several years? It's like 4 to 5 is what I hear. But also because there's a lot, like that game is over. We've been dealt hand after hand in that game, and the game's over. So what did you earn? Did you earn what you wanted? Did you get your victory? You have to play the hands. You have to play the hands. And if you can make a really terrible hand, this is another thing that I've been saying for a while. Luck is neutral this season. Luck is neutral this season. So if you're feeling lucky, if you're feeling like there's luck around, I literally had a ladybug in the house the other day. It was so good. I got him some water, took him out to the plants so that they had something to eat. Beautiful, gorgeous, love it. Thank you, ladybugs. If you've been feeling like there's luck around or like there's something big about to happen, look at the luck that you've had over the previous years. How did you handle that luck? How did you handle that luck? Was it good? Was it bad? Were you able to twist it to get it to where you needed it to be? Even if there was other people who are still technically like the winners of the hand, okay? It's about perspective at that point, because you could lose a hand and still be a winner in whatever you were claiming in the game. Okay, well, I'm not going to win, but I'm going to do this instead. The winning of the game is like society's rules or the rules of the people that you're around. It's not necessarily your rule. But if you're playing your game, even if you're playing the game of everybody else, if you're playing your game, did you win? So the wheel's about to turn again, because right now it's like slowing down, so that we're able to be like, okay, the game's over, that's it. And then it's gonna start to turn again. And we're headed off in a new direction for the next 4 or 5 years. I'm pretty excited about it. Wow. How to get the upper hand. Yes. Oh, wow, congratulations. Congratulations! The labor, yes. Oh my goodness. That's beautiful. Coins queen. Coins queen. Coin. You can't see it yet. It came up upside down. You can't see it yet. It's still dark. You don't know what it is. You don't know. Have you gotten messages about, I feel like I need to turn away for this one. It's like, you're not supposed to see it yet. Have you been getting messages about good stuff? Have you been doing your divination work and you've been listening and you've been dreaming and you've been writing stuff down and journaling and meditating, whatever else you do in your practice to help you with that sort of stuff? Have you been doing that? Have you been? Because there's probably some messages that have come through for you about if you're like here to get the bag, if you're here to get the money, if you're here to, it's here. It's grounding. It's not here yet. You can't see it yet. It's like it's here, but you can't see it yet. And what I see is like, it's in the shadows. If you're here and you're in the light, okay, it's off in the corners, in the shadows, and it's peeking out of the shadows, and it's like, ha ha ha, I'm ready for you, but are you here? I'm ready for you, but can you hear me? I'm ready for you. Are you gonna pay attention? Pay attention to the shadows. That's a big part of the upcoming eclipse, actually. Let's talk about that for a moment. That's a big part of the upcoming eclipse, the eclipse that we're having in Libra on October 2nd. The dark moon is going to be conjunct with Mercury, and they're only going to be like 3 or 4 degrees away from the sun and the moon, I'm pretty sure. So, beautiful. Thank you for showing up, you know? Yeah, that's going to be so good. I'm so excited for it. I've already been feeling, because we're in the middle of the eclipses right now, I've already been feeling the shift of those shadows coming in and like bringing more messages and like sitting in the power of them. It's also going to be the shadows of dark mother energy. I have some blogs up on the blog, on the website, if you're interested in reading about more of those perspectives, just as like a resource if necessary. But it's going to be more dark mother oriented, but that also means that it's going to have to do with how we were wronged by the mothers in our lives, whether that be your personal mother, women around you, womb bodies around you, the feminine, okay, dark feminine energy. That's the sort of magic that we don't really talk about on the internet. That's the sort of magic that gets a lot. It gets a lot. We don't really talk about it because there's not a lot of room within like the light spaces where things are very direct and clear to talk about that sort of stuff. So however that works for you, okay, because there's a lot of different topics that could cover. It is. That is going to be with Mercury on that eclipse. And having that be with Mercury on that eclipse day on October 2nd, we're having all these different messages come through. It's also a day for the feminine dominance. So like if you ever work with the internal masculine and feminine, having there be a feminine dominance or like the dominant feminine, the dark dominant feminine also, we're sitting in it, whether we really want to or not, with the transits that we're in right now. And so however you sit in it, however you wield it, however you decide to move through it, may it benefit you and groove for you how you need it to. That is true, because it's a lot. That placement is a lot. It's a very, very dark energy. It's a very, very tasking energy. It's a very, very dense energy sometimes. And it also can be very, very traumatic, the experiences of that placement and the sort of like magic work that can be done in that placement can be very, very harsh. And so if you've experienced that harshness, this is part of the law structure of the dark moon. It's like part of our contract with the dark moon, I suppose, is that if you are someone who's in a position where innocence has been taken from you, or there has been harshness around feminine, or there has been some sort of that like traumatic experience within, and because of something without, then and I can feel the fall, like energy, leaves falling. Oh, wow, I say this, that's so good. So having there be that dark feminine, where was I going? Don't get distracted. Don't get distracted. I had another vision of like the fall energy. I've been having visions of just like leaves falling and like the crunching of the leaves recently, and there's another one that came in. My goodness, that dark energy. That's where I was going. The October 2nd eclipse. That one is going to be like the rise of your own dominant dark feminine. Like, no, your story is not important to me anymore. I don't care what you say. Dark feminine in the Mercury conjunct, I don't care what you say anymore, especially if you've been doing justice work and like coming to conclusions, not allowing there to be illusions around justice, deciding what justice you really want for you with the situations you've been through. Also, one of the things I've been learning about justice, my goodness, we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about it, apparently. One of the things I love you, justice. Let me just make that clear out here for everybody. I love you, justice. One of the things I've been realizing about justice work recently is that some people are not worthy of forgiveness because they haven't earned it. That's one of the setups of Libra, is if in the Libra energy, for forgiveness, no, for mercy, there must be forgiveness. So if you're going to receive a mercy and justice, there must be forgiveness. Forgiveness of the self is one of the most hard things to do in this practice of justice, if there is wrongs that you have created. And that becomes the payment that justice needs if you have wronged other people, because otherwise, justice will allow you to continue to sit in the cycle that you have created or gotten swept up in. It could be either or, both. Maybe, depends. And there's a lot of people right now within that dark feminine energy who are realizing, like, actually, I wasn't the one who was wrong in that situation. I wasn't the one who, let me realize for myself. And I've been working with a lot of that energy recently of like, oh, I actually don't forgive this person. That's how my heart feels. I actually don't forgive this person. I actually don't. And there have been some where I'm like, oh no, I do forgive you, because I can look very clearly sometimes, not every time, most of them not. Most of them not. Let me be very clear, because I felt that. Let me be very clear about that. I don't forgive you. No, I don't forgive you because of this harshness or this other thing that was activated that was doing injustice, or they did not forgive me. And so there created more harshness, which created another cycle of there being some sort of justice circle that we were walking in. So recently within that dark feminine energy, it's been, for me, so discernment for yourself, it's been very, no, I don't forgive you. And guess what? I'm moving on. And if you're stuck in that cycle, it's none of my business. It's not my problem, because that's one of the things I've learned with my placements specifically in my chart. And this is applicable to Pluto being in Capricorn too. Okay, so discernment for how Capricorn and Pluto set up in your chart and in your life, because that's a very, very intimate space. But that, my goodness, that one of the things I've learned about those cycles, those justice cycles for me, is that I'm not supposed to be around the people who have wronged me, because I know what I've been through. And if, oh goodness, do I want to talk about that? Please allow me. No, let's sit with it. Hold on, before we talk about it. If someone wrongs you and you have not done anything to create a cycle where there's like a justice circle of some kind, or like a justice structure, then they're going to have to go through what you've been through that made that happening so harsh. So I know for me, I got to put up boundaries. I'm not supposed to be around that person. Oh, you wronged me? I'm not supposed to talk to you anymore. Oh, you're going to be around? Nope. I'm not going to allow myself to be in that cycle. That's the creation of your own justice through those cycles and systems. There's still, like, part of this is also to, like, still doing the emotional healing work, because part of the Libra South Node is like, we can't hold on to the emotions either. Like, we actually have to really do the transformation, transmutation, like alchemizing. If you're someone who works with alchemy structures, we really have to do that on an internal level, so that we're not holding on to anything that has been done to us, or like the situations or the people, but we're also not holding on to any like grudges. It has to be, there's a clearing of both sides. It has to be, that's the scales that they balance. It has to be both. And having that dark moon connected to it is like our deepest, darkest warnings, hard stuff, the really, really hard stuff, the really, 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 really hard stuff. If you have been doing that work, then that eclipse is about to be, congrats. That eclipse, good for you. Congrats. And it's going to be for the whole month through October too, because there's a whole bunch of other stuff happening in October with that. That's true. Let's pull some cards. What else do we need to see about that? And I feel like we're getting near to the end of this reading also. Let's see. And thanks for hanging out with me. Thanks for chilling. Thanks for being here, you know? What do we have? Chariot. How are you going to carry it, the Chariot? How are you going to carry it? How are you going to carry it, the Chariot? How are you going to carry it, the Chariot? Chariot is about you. How are you going to carry yourself? Because that's your life. How are you going to carry you through life? Carry the Chariot. How are you going to carry the Chariot? You are the Chariot. You have everything you need. The Chariot is it's a completion of, you have everything. You have everything. Where you're going, you have everything that you need. And one of the things I say about this, I haven't said this in a long time. It's been probably several years because I haven't done collective readings very recently. But when I was doing this was a message that came through back then too. Is like, you may not have everything you need, but you have the ability to create it. So you have everything that you need and you have the time to get there. I gotta remind myself that when I feel stuck sometimes. Something that you cannot see. Project, grounding project. There's like a singular project. This is not projects. This is not multiple projects. This is not, sometimes this card, the Nine of Wands, sometimes it can be like, I have all these projects and I'm working on all of these things and like, but it's not that. This is like a thing. This is a project, something that you've been working on. Manifesting, that is also a word if you're working with manifestation techniques or manifestation generally speaking. Manifestation, also if you're working in creation, some sort of creation manifestation, there's like a thing you've been pouring energy, just a thing you've been pouring energy into, a thing, and you can't see what it's going to turn into yet. Some of you are freaking out about it. Some of you have stopped working because you can't see it. What if it's so great that you are not supposed to see it yet? What if it's so great that when you get there, it's just going to be like, there's no way that you could have asked for that? You have to keep going. Sometimes we're blind. Sometimes it's so uncomfortable. Let yourself be blind. 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 You don't need to see everything. If you knew what it was going to be, wouldn't you be like, oh, okay, well, that's fine. I'll just chill here. But don't you want to know what it is? Don't you want to know? I want to know. Yes, please sign me up. I want to be there. Sign me up, please. I want to be there. I'll keep walking. Thank you for this reminder for myself also. So good. We also have lots of completion here. Not depletion. Not depletion. This is completion. To complete, yes. It's more project energy. To help finish this project, you need to open your heart. That's where the creation starts. We can think up ideas, but that's like rigid structure stuff. To get the creativity flowing, I don't know what that was, but you know, the wiggles and the jiggles to get the creativity flowing, that has to come from here. It has to come from here. So like to be able to ground the completion of this, it has to be heartfelt. It has to be heart-centered. This is a project of the heart, and so it needs to be completed in the heart space. Project of the heart, something you're creating in the heart. Because think about if you wanted this like perfect situation or circumstance or offering or job, or it's so different for every single person. However, and it's a creation of your own hands. This is not something that you're being handed. This is not something where someone is like, here you go. That's not it. This is a creation where you're like, I created this for myself by myself. Cause screw everybody else is also what I hear about that. Cause when I've asked for help, I haven't gotten it. When I've asked for it, I haven't received what I wanted. So let me just do it for myself. Let me finally I'm just gonna do it for myself. Fine. I give up. I'm gonna go do it for myself. That's the energy I feel behind that. So it's heartfelt. It's heartfelt. The other people who are around you who are trying to offer those things to you, they didn't have heart in it, but you do. You have the heart in it because it's your project. It's your heart project. Oh my gosh. So open the heart up. And sometimes opening the heart up can feel really weird, okay? Especially if you are not fully in that practice or rediscovering what that practice is. Listen to the heart. Listen to the heart. You can't think your way out of it. You have to get back in tune with the body and ask the body, you know, like, what is it that you need right now? Sometimes I got to do push-ups, which sounds weird, but sometimes I'd have to do that, or I have to do lunges, or like literally get back into my body. Sometimes I have to listen to music. Sometimes I have to do both. Sometimes I have to sit and doodle. It's also very inner child work. Sometimes there are so many different other ways. I'm just like giving examples for people who might not know where to start with that. There's so many other ways to get into it. However, you are creative, just like channel it into, even if you don't know what's going to happen or you don't know how it's going to look, like even if you just start, and then your heart will be like, okay, I'm open again. Okay, let's go do that thing then. Let's go do that thing. So literally I did that before this live stream, to be honest with you. I was like, I don't really know what I'm going to do, but I'm going to sit and read this book. And then I had a whole bunch of ideas and I was like, I need to get on live stream. So here we are. So open the heart back up. What else do we need to know? Because I feel like there's, like I said, it feels like we're coming to a conclusion, a completion, not a conclusion, a completion. Let's use the other deck. Let's sit with the other deck. And for those of you who are curious, my decks are on my website. Super fun. There's a fate deck. We're not going to get into that. Fate deck and a rune deck, but we're going to switch to the rune deck. What else do we need to know? And I sat up. I don't know if you saw that. I got, sit up. It's time to get serious again. Sit up. A mountain? No. Consecration. A mountain of fire. There's more to this. Hold on. A mountain of fire. Oh, hello. Something you desire. Something you desire. A desire. You've been into it. Oh my goodness. My word. I can't even talk about it. I can't even talk about it. It's like the words don't want to come out of my mouth. The words don't want to come out. The words don't. It's like you something you desire, but your heart is like no 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 no. It couldn't be. It couldn't possibly exist. I couldn't possibly make. It couldn't possibly. It's not possible. That's the energy. It's like it's not possible. It's not. And you've been telling yourself that a lot. It's not possible. There's no way. It's not possible. It's not. You have to let that go away. You have to let it go away. Remind yourself that it is possible. It's possible. It's possible. Anything is possible. Anything is possible. Anything is possible. Anything is possible. And you have to remind yourself because there's a part of you that is like, fuck, no, I'm not doing this. No, 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 no. But it's possible. It's possible. Something you desire. Something you desire. Light a fire. Something you desire. It's like light a candle for yourself too. Something you desire. Light a fire. Light a candle. Something you desire. Something you desire. Think higher. Think higher. Think higher. Think more. What if it's more than you asked for? What if it's more? What if it's more? Who knows? What if it's anything is possible? Maybe what you're asking for, maybe part of the reason you're freaking out is because you're asking for something and you know you're worth more, but you don't know how to ask for it because you don't know what that more would be. My heart too. My goodness. Oh my God. And you've also like worked really hard to get here. You've worked really hard to get here. You've worked really hard to put yourself, place yourself, embrace yourself. That's good. Embrace yourself in the position that you're in so that you can receive this desire. This is not it's like you've already created it. That previous reading on the creation, the heart space, the project included for some people, but not for everybody. So discernment on if they cross over for you or not. This is also a grounding of the spiritual, something in your practice, in your life, in the spiritual space that you create for yourself. There's something about that grounding through this desire that, no, it couldn't be possible. I also feel or hear for some people, this is love oriented or partner oriented. For some people, this is like your dream life. What is it that you want for your dream life? For some people, this is friends. For some people, there is a very certain, it's like very, very detailed. However you're thinking about this and feeling, it's like very, very detailed. And there's a lot of people who are just like turning a blind eye to it because of it's not possible. It's not possible. What needs to be seen about this? It's not possible. What in your order in your life, thank you, Vorder. What in your order in your life is making you feel like it's not possible? Is it something that's physically grounded around you? That's, thank you so much. That's, oh my goodness gracious. That's making you feel like it's not possible. Is there a mindset in your mental space? It might be a time to meditate on this if you feel like that's necessary. If you feel this energy of like, I do desire this thing and I've been telling myself I can't have it or that it's not possible. It's not that you have been telling yourself you can't have it. If you've been telling yourself you can't have it, it's because you feel like it's not possible. It is a possibility though. And if you're able to figure out how to order your life, it's about order. It's the runes. Of course it's about order. Of course it's about order. And what do I mean by order? Things have to be set up in a certain way. One thing comes after the other for a reason, okay? There's changes of season in specific order for a reason. There's different colors in the rainbow in a specific order for a reason. There's structure and order in the world. This is very Saturn Capricorn oriented also. There's something within that structure in your life. Check out also where Capricorn is in your chart. And there's Neptune placement also in your chart. A lot of us have Neptune and Capricorn, so it makes sense that this would be crossing over with both Neptune and Capricorn. It's possible. It's possible. Let me prove that I'm not a robot. There we go. It's possible, but there's something within because of something without. It's like somebody told you it wasn't possible at one point, or you heard that it wasn't possible. Maybe it wasn't even a direct conversation. You just overheard somebody. Something without, something external told you that that thing is not possible, that what you want is not possible. And for a lot of us, it's like years and years and years and years and years of hearing that. Years and years and years of hearing that you couldn't be the person you wanted, you couldn't be the artist, you couldn't be the creative, you couldn't be that person who did that crazy thing that you're thinking about. It's not possible, but you're thinking about it, which means it's possible. Your mind created it, which means it's possible. Your mind said, this is what I want. It's possible. It's possible. Yeah, it's possible. Your mind created it. Your mind was like, this is really what I'm asking for. Oh my God, I might start crying. This is what I'm asking for. This is really what I want, and it's possible. And I'm showing you that it's possible here. But remember the Pisces waters that were coming through earlier? Okay, here you go. Part of it. Thank you, water. I love you, water. There's something here that says it's not possible. Fear, maybe. Oh my gosh. Okay, so let's talk about fear, courage, and bravery, because I've been thinking about this recently also. Preparation. I'm so grateful for preparation and being prepared. Thank you, preparation. Oh my goodness. One thing about courage and bravery that I've been learning recently is that, and fear, because I've been working with fear over the previous years of my life, of sitting with fear and understanding fear and learning from fear and like listening to fear so that I can be a friend of fear and not be completely freaked out when it shows up. Valid, okay? Part of the process. But recently that relationship has changed over the previous probably like 6 months since the previous eclipse season. And over this eclipse period right now, I've been working with courage and bravery, and I've been realizing when I feel fear, it makes me feel like I'm not meant to do that thing, or I'm not supposed to be doing it. I'm not, so then I have to give myself permission to do it, okay? Important, give yourself permission to do this thing that you want, yes? And confront what you want. For some of you, that's true. You have to be able to confront it to want it. So confront it. It's like walking up to, you know, if you're afraid to meet a person or meet something, you have to be able to walk up to it to confront it. And the courage is the spark, it's the well, it's the activation that allows us to then be brave, because we have to sit in that bravery. Bravery is like the continuation of courage. It's the path of courage. Bravery is something that it's elongated. Courage is what we hold while we walk in that path. And if we are allowing ourselves to do that, the fear is out here. The fear doesn't sit in here anymore. Well, for some people, you may have to hold space for both of those things. For me personally, I've been learning that I can create that courage and walk in the bravery, and it just kind of dissipates. So discernment for how it works for you, because there isn't a right or wrong answer for how that could happen. But so there may be some people who are sitting with fear and courage simultaneously. And sometimes when you're sitting in that spark of courage, that is what happens. There is that spark of courage. Oh my goodness. There is that spark of courage, and there does need to be a path of bravery that it's brave for you to say, this is what I want. It's brave to do that. It's brave to do that. There are so many people in the world who have these ideas and these heartfelt messages, and they just never offer them to themselves. They go on the path of what needs to be done, or what should be done, or what their parents have told them to do, or what society is telling them to do, or what the people around them have decided is like the agreeable thing to do. Who cares? Who cares? I don't care. I don't care. Not about that. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. What do I want? Where am I sitting in it? And if you're going to give yourself what you're asking for, what your brain is like, that's the crazy idea. That's the crazy idea. Because it takes courage and bravery to be crazy. Crazy, how I sit with crazy. Let's talk about this also. Crazy as like berserker energy, okay, it's a warrior who walks without armor. Think about that for a moment. A warrior who walks without armor. That's like one of the logistical definitions of it. No armor. No armor of the heart. No armor. No armor. Okay? No armor. Just walking through it. No armor. You have to be crazy to do that. You know how that's crazy. To walk in a world with no armor when everyone has some sort of something going on, that's a lot. That's a lot, dude. That's a lot, you know? Also, yes, I am live on TikTok too. I'm in the process right now of getting a double streamer set up, and I looked into it before I got on, but I decided it wasn't worth it today. I'm gonna do it another day. So I'm on both channels right now, but it is what it is. One day the chats will be together. It just isn't today. Yeah. But yeah, to be crazy, you have to be courageous and brave. And you have to be, because if you're going to walk up, it is a vulnerable thing to give and receive. You are vulnerable in both of those positions. And so if you're going to be receiving this because you're offering yourself your life, literally. You want this sort of life. You want this sort of, that's true. You're offering your life. You want this manifestation, you want this creation, you want this desire, you want this for yourself, then you're offering your life. A period of it. You're offering your life. And that's a literally crazy thing to do. To say, I am this person. I'm this person now. That's crazy. That's a crazy thing to do, especially when everyone around you has said that you're not supposed to do that. It takes a strong person to be able to do that. It takes strength to do that. And strength can be in many forms. Strength can be in many forms. It's the strength of courage and bravery. And for me, also love and truth and free. Those are my three. Love, truth, and free. That's how I sit in it. So however that works for you. But we can be crazy in different energy too. There's people in the world who are crazy in malice and crazy in hatred, and maybe that's not the energy you need, all right? Maybe that's not the energy you need. Maybe you need the energy of crazy love, crazy desire, crazy inspire, think higher. Be crazy for yourself. Be crazy for yourself because who else is going to do it? Because who else is going to do it? Be crazy for yourself. Be crazy for yourself. Have the courage and the bravery. You've worked really hard to get here. You've been through so much to get here. You've walked so many trials. And that's like you've walked so many trials, but they were all a part of this really big one. All a part of this really big trial. And now you're here. And now you're here. You made it over the mountain. You made it through the storm. You made it over the mountain and through the storm. There was a storm on the mountain. There was like a couple storms on the mountain. Ugh. You made it through. You made it through. You made it through. And you're the one who has decided to pull the life out of where you've been and say, this is what I earned from that. Let me now consecrate what I want. Where am I going? It's something that you need. It's something you need. That's the thing about these crazy ideas that we get, which is like frustrating sometimes because you have to sit and accept it. I've learned recently that I can't control what I want, and that's just what it is. But we can control whether we give it to ourselves or not. But another story for another time. Another story for another time. If you have this crazy idea, you need it. That's literally you asking for, hey, I need this thing. Hey, I want to go live this life. Hey, I want to do this thing. That's literally you saying, yeah, I need that. That's how I feel about it. I feel like I'm just like screaming down a roller coaster. Oh my God. Yeah. That's you saying, I need it. You having those ideas says, I need it. Don't you want to give yourself what you need? You got to be crazy to do that. You got to be courageous. You got to be brave. You got to love yourself. And you have to be willing to protect it. But that's why you've been through these tests and these trials that were not all smiles. I hear that. Thanks for getting me out of that too. They were not all smiles. They were not all smiles for a reason. And now you understand how to defend, not just pretend. Sometimes we have to pretend to be somebody else to defend ourselves. But again, a crazy warrior doesn't wear any armor of the heart. Okay? Put the trials away. You earned a lot. You know how to protect yourself now and redirect those who do not protect you. That's also true. There's something else. Hold on. There's like an addition to this. Not a superstition. It's an addition. Ooh, my head. And then we're done. You already won the war. The battle. If you've been through a war, understood. You already won. You already won. And it's over. You already won and it's over. But it's really hard fresh out of that. It's really hard fresh out of the hardness and the trials and the tribulations and the speculations. It's really hard fresh out of that to just be at peace. Because that has to be like washed out. Okay, the Piscean washing waters I've been talking about come back through. That's true. They gotta be washed out. That has to be like washed, cleansed. But this is a building. This is time for building. This is time for building. And not just building, wielding. as in to build with the will. To wield something, you have willed it. It is done. It's the wielding. I know that that is not technically a word, but it's a word now. The wielding. The wielding, the wielding. So build. Will it. Will it to come through. That's literally basically every video on TikTok that I've been posting recently. At the end, I say do what you need to do because that's the season we're in. Okay, Pluto and Capricorn is about to end. Make it your friend. That's the end. That's the end of the reading. That's the end of the reading. That's so good. Wow, that was really intense. That was a good collective reading for the day, honestly. For those of you who are interested in the rewatch, the replay, it'll be up on YouTube. And I'm going to get the double stream figured out, and that way everybody can be in the same chat together and we're not like on 2 different screens. At least in my vision, it is what it is. But yeah, that's what's up. So good. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Let there be good crosses coming up. Crosses. That's how I feel about that. Anything else? That's pretty good. You want more updates? They're on the blog. I have a blog that I run too. I've been kind of like not as active on YouTube and my blog recently just because there's a lot of stuff that's been happening in the background for like many months. I'm doing my best to be in the space, but I can feel the change of season. So I'll be back on the blog more soon and back on the blog. Oh, that's true. Okay, thank you. I'll be back on the blog soon, back on YouTube soon. But right now I'm like in a resting, not just resting and recovering, but like there's rearrange happening, and that rearrange that's happening is taking up a lot of time. Not a bad thing. It's necessary and needed, but yes, please, I love your blog post. Thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah, I'm excited for it. I'm actually really excited to start. I've been part of that rearrange has been figuring out structure and system stuff so that I can actually bring content that is like a cohesive thing to the channels and the pages. So I'm also in my building energy. Okay. It's true. So that is the update for now. Is there anything else? My NFTs are back up on the website officially. So if you're interested in that, I have a new book coming out soon. I have not announced it yet. This is like my pre-announcement, but it will be done very soon. That's before we get to the upcoming eclipse, that's like my goal is to just be done with that. Let's be done. Get the book finished. They come out on Halloween. The first one, if you're interested in the first one, it's already out. It's the Book of Spells series. So this one is Book of Spells. Well, I'm not going to tell you the subtitle yet, but it's the second one. And the first one is up on the website. So yeah. And that's it for today. So good. So I love you guys. Thanks for being here. Keep doing what you need to do. That's true. And I'll talk to you soon.